Next up then is Emma Cresswell, and she's asking us to please turn on our phones.
Thank you, Lisa. Actually, yeah, that is my first request. I didn't put this in the blurb because I forgot. But if any of you do have a smartphone with you, you may be using it later. So if you do, just raise your hand or tell me that you've got one, because I might be asking. Thank you. So, to begin with, I have a question for you. Well, I think it's a poll, if Lisa can be so kind. But that is a question. Do you currently use or encourage the use of mobile phones in your classroom? Okay. So in between sometimes and never. That's pretty cool. So hopefully I can actually give you some ideas in the next 10 minutes. So to begin with, why? Why should we use cell phones in the classroom? And to be fair, like Delia's saying, I never used them before, like it wasn't allowed or I thought it shouldn't be allowed. But in the last year or so, I've kind of been looking at reasons why it might be good. So for example, first of all, it's technology at their fingertips. Especially with adolescents, they are glued to their cell phones. I'm not even an adolescent, but I am. So they're better than what we have at school. I mean, if I compare my kids' iPhones to the computers we have at school, they're so much better. And yeah, they're always using them, and they're familiar with it. This is like a third hand for them. Therefore, they're comfortable with them. And it'll increase their engagement. If you say to them, get your books out, go to page 3, or get your cell phone out and go onto the internet, what are they going to be happier doing? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few ways of how to use them, and then hopefully you guys can give me some ideas as well. Not Facebook Owl. Well, not yet. We'll come to that. So how can we use them? The most obvious, I think, is just doing research or looking up information. How often have you turned to page 4 or whatever in the textbook and there's some text about the most random city, country, cathedral? Find out more about it. Instead of saying, where is it? Say to them, okay, what can you tell me about the Taj Mahal? And they can look it up on Wikipedia, they can look for pictures. It takes 2 minutes on Google, and they saved you the time, and they're more interested. Also recording and taking notes. And you can mind map on the board. Thank you. You can do that in my classroom for me. But recording. I mean, this can be anything. Maybe you're giving them advice about something. You're telling them what's in the exam. They can just press the voice record. We're going to get to Wi-Fi in a minute, Sean. But they can just record you, play it back in their own time, presuming they have a voice recorder on their phone. If not, they can easily download a free voice recorder, and it takes no time whatsoever. Interviewing people. This is actually an idea I got from one of our teachers, Vicky, who we have a magazine which we run, or which we produce at the end of each year. And she always gets her students to interview the native English speakers. Where do you come from? What's your hometown like? And this time, instead of like writing down all the notes and trying to keep up with me when I was speaking really fast, they just recorded it, in which they can then go back to their classroom and they can take all the notes and they can write the article in their own time. And actually that's a good idea, Estelle. If they record themselves, they can then listen to their mistakes, correct their mistakes, and they can also have like a record of how they've improved through their own speaking. So obviously both of those, the recording and the interviewing, you need a voice recorder. But they can get that, any of the Google Play, the Apple App Store. You can get free voice recorders, not a problem. Likewise with the video. Most phones now have the option to actually record videos. So if you're doing class presentations, they can record the presentation, or they can film it. And if they film it, if you have like a class blog or something like that, you can then upload the video of the presentation. So then it's there. It's a permanent record of their performance. Oh, that's a good note from Sean. Check out Tim Kelly's session. I wasn't able to go to that, but we can all watch the recording and we can look at some apps. So if we're also going to be making audios, why not listen to them? That's a good point, actually, Estelle. I guess if it's a private blog, they won't mind you. Like, if it's a private blog for your group, you can upload it. But obviously, if it's going to be public to everyone, try and get some permission. But so we can listen to audios, and these can be any audios. Depending where you are, you can get live radio streams, or you can listen to the BBC, any kind of podcasts. There's lots of them that you can listen in class, or you can set as their homework. Okay, go to whatever podcast, or you email them the link, and you can listen to it. One thing I've tried with adults, actually, is if we're doing a listening, they can actually all listen on their cell phones. That way they can listen to it at their own speed, if they need to pause it. I mean, it depends what the focus of the listening exercise is. But getting them to do it themselves on their phones, I don't know, it just gives them more, it makes it more personal to them. And watching videos. Yes, you can make your own videos. Why not watch them as well? You've got YouTube, you've got TED, you've got lots of these which actually have the apps, or you can do it through Google. And they can watch it in the classroom. And the other thing is taking photos. But I'm not going to say too much about that because I know that Sean was speaking about it earlier. So go and check out his 10 minutes. So to look at in more detail at a couple of these things. Making podcasts. We've already mentioned recording people. So why not take it that step further and turn it into a podcast? I'm recommending the app Audioboo, which this is a live link if you want to use it. The reason I say Audioboo, A, because I like saying Audioboo, and B, because it's super simple to use. Once you've got the app on your phone, you can record straight into the app, and then once you've saved it, you can upload it to, well, pretty much anywhere, but you can share it on social media. So I know some classes have like a closed Facebook group. I don't know how it is in your schools, but in our school, some of the groups do have like a closed Facebook group just for them. So once they've recorded the podcast, they can share it on the Facebook, and it's there. Okay, Sean's recommended Spreaker. I need to get into that one. I don't really know it that well. But yeah, so once you've recorded the podcast on the phone, upload it, share it, and then it's there. And you can go back to it whenever, and you can keep on making more and more. And it's just a good idea, I think. And games. We all like playing games. Well, I do. And there are lots and lots and lots of apps that you can just download. And sometimes what I've done, if you've got 5-10 minutes at the end of class, play one of the games. My CAE class at the moment really like and there's a game on British Council called Wordshake. And it's like Boggle, but bigger. So they play that for 10 minutes, and then they kind of say who's got the most points or who got the most words. And it's just a little competition in between them. And what's good about this one, Wordshake, is that it actually gives you all the words that you could have got. So there's lots of different games. And also it encourages them to maybe play it at home, or if they're waiting for 5 minutes before the class. So I don't know. But I just for British Council in Cambridge, because they're the ones which I use, but there probably are lots more. And QR codes. This is where you guys come in if any of you have a cell phone. QR code. I remember the first time I went back to England and all the posters had these little boxes on them, and I was like, what the hell are these? Because this is like Argentina. None of us had smartphones. Everything was like 3,000 years old. And then my cousin showed me what it was. I was like, ooh, there's like a whole new world had opened up. QR code is just a type of barcode so that you can scan, and you scan it with your smartphone and you go to whatever information. This one, if anyone scans it, it just takes you to a website saying what is Q or what are Q cards. Okay, 3,000 years old, but behind the past. But basically, QR codes, you can take them to anywhere. But my favorite thing is using what I've now termed a web quest, aka a web quest that you use QR codes. Instead of giving them like the website addresses, give them a bunch of QR codes. And if anyone can scan these QR codes for me, you'll see that they don't actually take you to a website. So does anyone actually have a QR scanner that you could scan with those? I've trademarked QuebQuest, by the way, Neil. This is the thing. Basically, with the QR codes, you can give them information. So you can actually, you can give them a text that says, okay, now you have to go to the library to find your next clue, or now you have to, and because I thought originally you could only give them websites to go to, but because you can give them instructions and pieces of information, it just changes it, and it actually becomes more of a proper scavenger hunt, but using the cell phone. So when I found that out, it actually did make my day, which kind of says a lot about me. But yeah, if you don't have a QR scanner, I recommend getting one because they're just cool, and they make like little buzzing noises and beeping noises when they scan, which is quite entertaining for me. But there's always a but. Do all your students have access to a smartphone? Probably not. So, you can put them in pairs, or what I have a problem with here is the whole Android, Apple, BlackBerry. Lots of people in Argentina have BlackBerries. I hate BlackBerries. And they don't have all the facilities that you can get on Android and Apple. So you have to make sure of that before you plan the class. Are there enough people that you can have one smartphone between two? Maybe you have a laptop in the school which you can use as a backup. Or lots of my kids that do have BlackBerries or regular cell phones, they have an iPod. BlackBerry Messenger's rubbish. That's my opinion. But yeah, if they have an iPod, they can access half of the things that you can do with the iPhone or the Android anyhow. So that's one thing to be aware of. Student or teacher training. Like, do the students need to be taught how to use them? Yes, they use their phones all the time, but do they know what a QR code is? Do they know how to do whatever? And do we know? I mean, I'm presuming that teachers do, but looking at the teachers we teach with, I know if I say to them, what's a QR code, they will start crying pretty much. And I'm down to my last minute, so very quickly. It's not letting me move my slide. There we go. Wireless access, like Neil mentioned earlier, is there Wi-Fi in your school? And if you've got a class of 15, all of them jumping onto the Wi-Fi, it's going to get so slow, so beware of that. I mean, some of them, if Mummy and Daddy pay, they're happy to use their 3G and they're not bothered. Mummy and Daddy might be. And also appropriacy. Is it appropriate in the classroom? Make sure it is. Make sure they know the rules. They can use the cell phone when you tell them, but when you're not using it, put it away. Turn it off. You don't start messaging your friends. So that's pretty much it. That's just a very brief 10-minute intro to how you can use your phones. Hopefully you got some good ideas. And I'm now going to pass over to my colleague Al, who's got lots of slides to get through in 10 minutes. So thank you
much,
and
Emma.
good luck, Al.
I can't wait to get into those